One of the biggest obstacles to having great faith is God's apparent absence. Despite many biblical encouragements about God's watchful spirit, we live in a God-thirsty world where the typical daily experience of even a devout believer is often dry and ordinary. It lacks the immediate energy and life-giving presence of the Almighty that we all actually crave. Either God's distance from us is a test, or the leftovers from the fall. Something seems to be wrong here. In a few short weeks, COVID-19 has flipped our society. We now live in a world where scary diseases lurk around the corners. And for some, death may not be far behind. We practice self-quarantines and social isolation, resulting in major financial hardships for those who own and operate small businesses. And that's just the financial picture. The personal one is equally as bad. When roles, relationships, income, and daily rhythms are rearranged, it chews away at a person's self-worth and esteem. Anytime we are faced with widespread suffering, the first question that always comes up is, where is God in all of this? More and more we feel like we're living in a horror movie. The kind that we usually instinctively turn off. This is because it's too disturbing. And even the most religious people ask, why is this happening? And, where is God in all of this? The question is essentially the same that people ask when a hurricane wipes out hundreds of lives. Or when a single child dies from cancer. It is called the problem of suffering. The mystery of evil. And it's a question that saints and theologians have grappled with for millenniums. The question, as far as I can see, is now consuming the minds of millions. Believers, who hear about a steadily rising death toll, now struggle with news stories about physicians forced to triage patients, as well as the visual of rows of coffins. Over the centuries, many answers have been offered about natural suffering, all of them wanting in some way. The most common is that suffering is a test. Suffering tests our faith and strengthens it. My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance, says the letter of James in the New Testament. But while explaining suffering as a test may help in minor trials, patience being tested by an annoying person, it fails in the most painful human experiences. Does God send cancer to test a young child? Yes, the child's parents may learn something about perseverance or faith, but that approach can make God out to be a monster. So does the argument that suffering is a punishment for sins, a still common approach among some believers, who usually say that God punishes people or groups that they themselves disapprove of. The overall confusion for all of us is encapsulated in what is called the inconsistent triad, which can be summarized: the God of this world as follows. God is all-powerful, therefore God can prevent suffering. But God does not prevent suffering. Therefore, God is either not all-powerful or not all-loving. Everything about modern society feels like an obstacle to experiencing peace of mind. Inner peace is a choice. And many of your habits determine how much peace we get in our daily life. It's important to take care of yourself mentally and physically. properly, exercise, and be true to yourself. Go within and find God the Father.
Thank you.